They can't stop us. Episode 1, part 2, Electric Boogaloo. They can't stop us. Let's see what we can. Thanks to y'all who came back. I appreciate you guys. I didn't realize there was a 1 hour limit. Damn you, Instagram! We're having a blast too. That's racism. I'm just gonna say it right now. The fact that the live shut down is racism, sexism, homophobia. I just all of that is what this is. Oh, I'm glad we can make your day. That means a lot to me. That means a whole lot to me. Right, all the isms, all up in there. Terrible. Let's see if we can get Portia back. I thought I pressed the button. No. It says she's unable to join. We'll get her back. I have to write a letter like in White Chicks. Here, I am a white woman.
Came back during the ism speech, and I was like, the disrespect is so loud.
That's it. I just want you all to know.
It's a meeting. Shut it
down. Right. Y'all, if y'all don't break up this slave congregation up here, y'all stop singing spirituals and get back to TikTok.
Oh, I guess.
I forgot what we were talking about. I'm angry. We're gonna try. Right, we were talking about rehabilitating a relationship, and you were saying about your ex, he's a textbook narcissist. I'm getting better at remembering. My ADHD is not defeating me lately.
Thank you for remembering, because I don't have ADHD and I still don't remember things. So I have no excuse. Like, I have no reason that I don't. My brain is just like, not important. It already happened.
Your brain is Rafiki. It's in the past. This is why the first episode is over an hour long, because we don't know.
It's mostly just the laughs. It's the laughs that, you know.
We'll do an episode and it's just the laughter spliced together. It's like 50 minutes of laughter.
I hope one day this becomes so popular that and somebody's like, Naia talked about it in the first episode, so I did it. And it lives eternally. I'm
manifesting.
Meditate on it so that it comes into fruition. Yes, we're gonna do it.
That's it.
Yeah, so I don't think that, so outside of my romantic relationship, I haven't been able to rehabilitate any of the friendships either. But I think that was largely because I wasn't in a place where, like, I could understand where the other person was coming from. And usually being codependent, like, I have toxic behaviors that I do to other people, and, like, it's not always somebody else. Like, sometimes it, like, the title of it is the call is coming from inside the house. Like, it's not else. And in my friendships, it's usually me being codependent, which I know that, like, what? Because I don't think I've ever been codependent with you.
I was gonna say, it's really weird that we've been going off having these really codependent relationships, and we have like a super healthy relationship with each other. And that means nothing to us. We're just like, I suck at relationships, but you're cool. Like,
I think you get it, so I'm not gonna do it to you. Like, what?
Two negatives make a positive. That's what it is. It's math. It's math.
It's basic math. Oh my God.
Day one!
Just blew my mind.
I can't stand you.
It's true though. Like the people that the friends that I have had codependent relationships with, like, it's so bizarre. Like, I haven't been friends with them for as long as I've been friends with you. But also maybe there was like I guess it was a little bit different because like I saw them more often, and like it, like you said, it was that type of relationship where like you want to call them every day and you want to talk to them all the time and you want to do everything together, and so it was like a very different dynamic. Wow, that really blew my mind that you and I are not codependent. Which like, we'll do this to other people, like, so
right. But it's, to be fair, you just blew my mind talking about this idea that like crap, what did you just say?
You're asking the wrong person. Naia.
You blew my mind, and then that was it. That was it. It's just gone. It's just right, codependent relationships with other people. Right, you're seeing them every day and stuff like that. And it's funny because I think I do have a lot of other relationships that are not codependent. And in my head, it was like those relationships aren't as strong.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they were. Like, the fact that we've been friends for almost God, we're old. I'm old. You're fine. I'm old. But, like, the fact that we've been friends for, like... the fact...
Age. We are an average...
average human age!
It's the age of average. That's what it is. That's all you need to know.
Oh my God. But yeah, I just felt like those, I remember very distinctly, I reconnected with a friend from undergrad and we were friends on Hangouts, and I fell back because I was like ashamed that I didn't have something to say to them every single day. Like in my head, it'd be like, oh God, another day passed, and I didn't even send a meme or like an article that made me think of them. Like I didn't send anything, and because I would get so caught up in it, I would just never say anything.
Yeah.
And so it was like, on one hand, I was like not only stunting a relationship, but I also was devaluing it, because in my head, I was like, well, me and my friend, we text every single day from when we wake up to when we go to sleep. We're always on the phone. We're always texting each other. Like, we know everything about it. I know what she ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know where she's at right now. I know what her plans are for this weekend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know more about her. I know her plans for the future. I know more stuff than I know about myself. And in my head, I was like, and that's a great relationship. That's an amazing relationship. I should always feel like that about people that I'm super close with.
Yeah.
But would have decent relationship with people that I would like I said, my other best friend, Gerald, we talk once a month. I think he just hit me up today. We spoke the other week. Before that, we spoke like a month ago. And then he just texted me to be like, Drake dropped the album? I feel like, but that's how, but I also feel like that. I feel like that the video of A$AP Rocky, the Pop Up Dada? Drake dropped the album? Like, Drake dropped the album? But yeah, like, sorry, to get back to it, it was just like I would have perfectly fine relationships and just be like, oh, those aren't as good. Like, and thinking about it now, I'm like, you were wild for that one. You were wild to just be like, if you are not in my face every single day, if you do not want to know what, if I say I'm walking down the street and you're not like, which street, what you passing, what you see. If I say I'm eating and you're not asking me what I'm eating, you clearly don't care about me and my life. And so, no, I was just crazy. Like,
finally, well, like I didn't leave. Like, he broke up with me. The cosmic joke was that he said that I had changed, which was true. And so, like, my ex broke up with me. And I was like, it really took me, just to sidetrack a little bit, it took me a lot of time because my brain was like, I didn't change, like, you changed. you're this horrible person, like blame everything on him. And like it took me like a year or two to realize that like no, he was absolutely right. Like I did change. And it's because I was constantly trying to show him like the performance, like the perfect version of me that he really liked, and like that's what he was talking about. And I was so angry like initially when he broke up with me. Also that was bullshit though because he was cheating on me. So anyway, so like that's neither here nor there. Um
Sorry. I had to, real quick. Cross my legs and everything. Oh, child.
a full body shot. We need a wait, walk me back. What were you saying? Seeing people every day.
There you go.
So like when we broke up, it was really wild. You can't sit water like
Tea is nothing but water with additives. It's just water with leaves in it. It's soup. It's just soup.
the pretzels is the same.
Pretzel beverages is the same.
By the way. Yeah, but like when I finally was no longer in that relationship, it took me such a long time to like even relate to my friends again because I had been placing value on that romantic relationship that I was like, oh my God, like I don't even like know my friends anymore. Like I barely talk to them, what's going on with them. It was like a real disconnect from myself, but then also like with other people. And I had to like learn that I had been placing so much value on my romantic relationship that I had literally like devalued every other relationship in my life. It took like I felt so much guilt for like years. I had felt so much guilt about doing that because it was like these are the people that are there for me. Like some of these people told me like the situation. Like even now, like a lot of my friends like are supporting me, and like I just like didn't even consider them for all these years for like the sake of this person who like doesn't even really give a shit about me. And it's just like that devaluing is so insidious because you don't even realize you're doing it, you know, like you don't even see that it's happening. It's just like over time certain people get farther away, and then when you're no longer in that codependent relationship, you're like, wait a minute, like where were all those other people that I was friends with?
That was the biggest thing for me, was coming out and just being like, I feel so lonely. Like I don't know who to hit up. I don't know who to tell.
Yeah.
Like now all the little stuff that happens every day, I don't have somebody to sit there and talk to about. And like, and I feel mad lonely. And my therapist, God bless, she was like, just hit me up every time you want to say something like that. And I was like, you're not gonna answer right away. But that's a really good, I like that point too, because I don't think it brought to mind, I never thought about this until now, when the last codependent friendship was ending. Part of it was because around the same time, I had dated two people in the months leading up to it, and I hadn't really said anything about me dating them because I knew it was taking up my time. And just to be like fully transparent, I was dating men, and she wasn't a fan of men. And so I was like, I'm not going to bring up men around her because she's just going to sit there and be like, okay, whatever, we'll wait till this ends, right? And I didn't want that, right? So, but instead of just saying, you know, I would appreciate if you're supportive at this time or something like that, I'm just like, well, I'm just not going to tell her about it at all.
Right. Talk about it, period. Yeah.
And one of the things she said to me during the decline of our friendship was that she was like, when you date someone, you get distant. She was like, you find someone else to date, and then I don't hear from you as much anymore, or just like you move different. And I was really offended at first, and I like asked multiple other friends, like, do I get distant? Now here's the catch: I'm asking other friends who I'm not codependent with, right? So for them, they're like, no, you don't change. You're the same exact person.
Right.
You're just not dating someone. But for her, because in my head, it's Highlander. There could only be one, right? Like, there's only one person that I'm going to be like this connected to.
Right.
And in my head, it was like, I always felt like I was choosing between my friends and my codependent relationship and having a relationship with a romantic partner. And it's double funny because when I was dating a person who was codependent on me, that was their complaint too. Their complaint was, you're paying too much attention to other people and other things, and I don't see where you're connecting with me, and like my love language is quality time, and you have to spend time with people to get that. And in my head, I remember, I'm not going to tell the whole story. A couple of people who are my friends know it, but at one point I got a letter from this person, talking about the kind of stuff, and it was, we were out on a date, and I had stopped a couple of times during the night to like text. I had bought something at one point when we were early for a movie. I checked the message. I hit up my friend. And his complaint was, he wrote this like long letter, and he was like, I look up and you're on your phone. We're about to go into the movie and you're like on your phone. I hear a lull in the conversation. I look out and you're on your phone. So I was like, and in my head, I was like, you mentioned 3 moments I was on my phone. We were together for 8 hours. And that's what you're focused on? That's what wow. Like, and it's funny because I'm like, oh, the problem was that I was already in like what I felt was like a good codependent relationship with somebody. And in me trying to build with someone, not only was them being codependent, but me thinking that codependency is good, I couldn't maintain both. So there was always going to be a tension on one side or the other. Either one person was going to feel neglected or the other. And it's you're right, it's really ostracizing when you get out of it, because you've spent so much, not only from your friends, but like you said, from yourself, right? Because you sit there and you're like, that means like, who am I, dog? Like, who am I now? I don't know, because I've spent so much time being this person's other half,
right,
that I don't know what it's like to be a whole person.
Like, you spend so much time not being you. Like, you spend being this person's rock, this person's punching bag, this, for like whatever that other person needed you to be, that's who you were, even if it wasn't you. And so, yeah, coming out of that, you're like, do I even have a sense of self? Like, it was crazy because when I went to therapy, my therapist was like, that like that's kind of like an abusive relationship. And I was like, no, like, he never hit me, like, he never like spoke to me inappropriately, like, he was financially dependent on me, so like but like I was like, no, like, I wasn't abused, but like, no, I was like, part of me not even knowing how to relate to anybody anymore was like a result of that, mistreatment. It was just like complete disconnection from everybody was a result of that, like, complete disconnection with myself that was just constantly perpetuated by like the dynamic that we were in.
Yeah. I guess we're gonna do this for let's do a 10-minute wrap up. This will be our last part because we already done like an hour.
Are you doing the countdown, or is this
Instagram? No, I'm doing the countdown. This is not an Instagram. The racism has been abated and abetted for now. Lindsay said isolation is a tactic of abuse, and she is absolutely right. And it's one that we don't think about a lot until we see other signs of it. We don't think about isolation until we see isolation and somebody's being hit, or isolation and someone's being verbally abused. But just, I remember the person I was dating who was trying to be codependent on me. I remember realizing that he didn't have other friends that he like spent time with, and that his family was in another state. Right? He had like housemates, and I did not know until the end of the relationship because he never mentioned them. And so I was like, okay, so there's a disconnect there, right? And I realized that was like me being like their whole world, which I think is another type of isolation. Like, making someone your whole world is a form of isolation. I'm sorry, that just hit me. Because
like, I was thinking that while you were talking, I was like, oh my God, there's that part of it right. That's like making that, not only making the other person your whole world, but like you like constantly separating you from yourself is like another form of
Mm.
expectation where like
Wow. Woo! That right there is why we came back. That right there is why we came back. Wow, separation from yourself is a separation you're someone from themselves is a form of isolation and abuse. That's deep.
yeah,
That's really because I think um we don't think in how it works in the opposite, I think sometimes. Um and not to victim blame or not to be a victim, right? Because I think that one of the things in for me at least in codependent relationships, it's always whoever, it's somebody else, it's not me. I'm the
right,
victim, everyone's doing this to me. But we do, I think, in being codependent on other people, we don't think about how we hurt them. So one of the parts for me in understanding that I wanted to be out of codependent relationships was thinking about the idea that like I anytime I do something that I think is codependent, I think back to the person who was codependent on me, and I was like, would they do this? Which is a little messed up, but it's like it's like the only litmus test I have, right?
right,
Because I remember how I felt on the other side. Like,
right,
so one of the things that he did was like, I used the nickname kind of like offhandedly, and he codified it. Like he came up with a nickname. That was our nicknames, and I felt so much pressure to call him that it made me uncomfortable, right? Or like he sent me a song in the morning one time and I was like, oh cool, like getting dressed to this was like being in a movie. And then every single day he was sending me like 2 or 3 songs in the morning. And I felt so much pressure to listen to all of them because I was like, I don't want you to think that I'm a bad person and I don't care that you sent this to me. But I would not listen to these. I would be in silence in the shower. I would not always be listening to these. And especially if I was listening to music, I'd be listening to my music, right?
right,
So,
right,
um, and that's what I had to stop and be like, oh, like that's what it feels like on the other side. Like if even if you're not both actively being codependent on each other, the other person still feels that pressure of like, you're expecting me to do this. You're expecting me to live up to a specific expectation. And we've talked about my big thing has been expectations versus boundaries
right,
lately, right? And expectations are like, I want you to draw inside the lines, while boundaries are like, I want you to draw inside the paper. Like,
right.
that's it. Like, I just want you.
That's the way to think about it. I'm very bad with boundaries, so I once again probably shocking to you, but like um but I do have trouble like differentiating what are boundaries and what are expectations. Not just for myself, for other people. Like I have a really hard time figuring out which one's which.
Mm,
So thinking about it like that is actually super helpful because it is that like an expectation is like way more limiting and way more restrictive than a boundary, you know. And also expectation comes from fear, expectation comes from isolation, expectation comes from all of those not negative because they also are helpful emotions and like modes of being. But like boundaries really do come from love. Um Once again
mm,
about the hood healer, she says I really like one of my favorite quotes from her is uh defensiveness is rooted in fear, but boundaries are rooted in love. And so like
mm.
I wrote that shit on my wall. I was like, like you need that, and like the
It's a good
expectations
one.
cause you to be defensive because they're not being met, and so you're like, oh, you know, all of that, like you said, the resentment comes up because you're like, all of these, like,
Mm,
you're supposed to be acting this way. Like, I'm supposed to be acting this way. You're supposed to be acting this way. What's going on? But when it's a boundary, it's like, oh, like you're setting it. Like, for example, one of my friends recently set a boundary with me because she felt that, well, I mean, I don't know how she feels because we haven't spoken, but she set like a very clear boundary with me because of something that happened between me, her, and her partner. And like, because I understand, because I have a better understanding of what a boundary is, because like I said, I'm still like a little fuzzy on it. But because I have a better understanding, I was like, oh, you're like doing this from like a place of self love for yourself. Like this is what she needs in order for her to like take care of herself. And so there was no like expectation. There was no resentment towards her because I was like, no, like I understand that she's doing this for her. And because I love her, like I want her to do whatever it takes for her to be secure and feel that love that she needs for herself. So like to even, because like at first I was very defensive, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I was very hurt by the boundary, but over time I realized like no, she's just taking care of herself, and if I love her, I want her to take care of herself. And so I'm gonna like I respect the boundary. Like you have to respect the boundary. Whereas an expectation not being met, you don't have to respect that. You just build up the resentment. Yeah.
I like what you said because I don't think I've thought very often about the idea that like a boundary comes from love. I've been very like logical with it. So my thing has always been like an expectation prescribes behavior and a boundary says where behavior is supposed to stop.
Right.
Right? So like an expectation is you gotta call me every day.
Right.
You know, I gotta know where you at all times. You
Right.
know, but a boundary is I something like I wanted to we need to communicate openly,
Right.
right? I want to communicate openly. A boundary is I need space to myself that sometimes won't include you and sometimes means that I won't speak to you or things like that. When I was like finally forced to outline mine was like I need compassion. I
Right.
need understanding, right? And I feel like that's a general thing. Like, of course, everyone needs compassion and understanding, but I was like, I really need it because I know how much I'm working on stuff for myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that when I fall back hard and I'm super emotional and stuff like that. And so I want to have the space for you to already know that like, you're going to have to forgive me for some stuff.
Right.
Right. I'm going to do my best, of course, you know, like the Master of Self says, I'm working on my side. I'm not working on your side. I'm just working on mine. So I'm always going to do the best I can to be good to you. But what I'm asking for in that is that you can continue to accommodate me. And I think the other freeing thing for me was like, I was always like, well, what if they don't respect my boundary? What if they don't do it? And like, what do I say? And what do I do? And it was like, then oh, wow, this just hit me. Then the boundary is no longer the behavior. The boundary is the relationship.
Right.
So,
Right.
like, if you're not going to respect what the behavior has to be, now you have to respect that we're going to have a different relationship
Right.
because I cannot love you so much that I continue to let you disrespect me or put me in a place where I don't love and respect myself. Um, but I'm still working on it too. I'm still like really bad with it. I'm bad. My problem is I don't speak up,
Oh,
which is funny because I've been talking for an hour and a half, right?
the irony that we're here.
But I don't speak up for myself. So someone will hurt my feelings really badly and I'll be like
You're like, all right, I'm gonna just ghost you.
right, I'm gonna just like my honestly, I've said this today. I was like, my two toxic traits are I want to correct your spelling and I will ghost people. Those are my two toxic traits. I want to tell you that it's not spelled like that. And also, I will leave without a trace.
You'll never hear from me again.
Ever.
Yeah.
You will never have to worry. And, but like, but oh crap, I lost what I was talking about. That's so funny.
Oh,
Anyway, those are my toxic traits. I want to ghost people, but like, right. I was talking about it's hard to want to reinforce those boundaries. And so I realized that it's less about like two things. One, if I want to have a conversation with people, for me personally, I have to step back and separate the expectations from the boundaries. And I have to step back and separate out what's me reacting to the situation and trying to get them to feel what I feel
mm-hmm.
versus what I'm trying to communicate to them about what I need, want, desire, what my boundaries are in a clear and concise way that shows them that it can be fixed, but doesn't tell them how to fix it. Right. And that, because that was something I've been thinking about more lately is that like, I can't tell people how to fix the problem between me and them because how my brain works and how I see it is only part of it. They
Right.
have a totally different perspective on it.
Right. It's only
Right.
your perspective. Right.
Right. It's my truth and my perspective. So I can say, if I want this person to pay more attention to me, I can say, I want you to call me every day. And they can call me every day and not pay attention to me on the phone. And
Right.
now we have two problems because not only is this not working, what I said was going to work didn't work. And now they're like, I don't know what you want. What am I supposed to do?
Right. Exactly.
But if I just said, yo, I want some more attention from you, like I would like, then I give them the chance to figure out what that looks like for them to express that to me,
Right.
right? And become part of like the actual, I always say it's not about it's about collaboration and not about, what's the other word? Um I always blank on words.
My brain
It's
is
not
like
it's
coronation, and I'm like, that's not the
coordination. No, it's not about. It's about collaboration and not compromise. There we go. That's the word. Right. Because I heard a lot of people say like you have to compromise in relationships, and I was like, I don't want. You know that clip of Eartha Kitt? She's like
the Eartha Kitt video.
it's exactly. A man comes into my life and I have to compromise. For what? Compromise for what? Stupid. That's and that's how I honestly felt. And I thought I was wrong. I'm honest. I was like, oh, you're just a bitch. Like you just don't want to compromise with anybody. But the reality was I don't want to compromise. I want to collaborate, right? I don't want to say, oh, well, I guess I'll just stop talking to you. We can come together and we can figure out what it looks like to have a relationship that works where we both get what we want, rather than me sitting here being like, no, you got to do this. You got to do this. And it doesn't work because that's not how you do that. And now we're even deeper and everything becomes, but you said this would work. But you said it's what you wanted. And now you don't want it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's good that we're working on it. Working on it one, right?
The worst never ends, like the worst.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think? This will be the last thing because we're gonna go by 8:45, so they can't get us by the hour.
Yeah. Sorry.
But what do you?
Good lighting.
You gotta make sure. I don't know if you see. I've been moving because sometimes I'm washed out, and I'm like, I don't like that. We gotta get the glow back.
I was like, I have too much backlight, and I need some more contrast and depth.
I've been trying not to like turn off another light. So like, we're just gonna do it. It works anyway. Cool. So
do what you gotta do.
It's mood lighting. It's mood light. The lava lamps in the background. It's mood lighting. Addie said, "I feel like a boundary should be set by your actions. I don't always think you need to be vocal." And then Eric said, "I don't think people will know if you're not vocal about it, and people will get the program with you. Sit with it." I agree with both of you.
I agree with all of you. Yeah.
I agree. Do you want to go first with why you agree?
Yeah, I think that's part of we both expressed that we have a problem with speaking up, and that's like a big part of setting boundaries with people is that you have to communicate these things, right? Like nobody. My battery's about to die. Sorry. Nobody knows nobody knows what's going on in your head. Like nobody knows about the drama that you've created. And if you don't express those things, then of course the other person will always think that they're doing what you need because you've never expressed it to them. You've never said, this is what makes me comfortable, or this is what I need from a relationship. If you don't share those things, you guys are absolutely right. How are they going to know? They're not. Yeah. I'm bad with boundaries, so I don't even want to speak on it. As somebody who's working through still figuring out what their boundaries are, I don't feel comfortable speaking on those things because I'm just I know other people probably are better at that or just have been practicing it longer and probably have more knowledge about how to do it effectively. And I'm always really wary of giving bad advice, but this is a part of the not being your so it gets deep.
I mean, I think they're both right. I like the conversation because I think they're both right. Yeah. I feel like there's certain things for me that you have to tell me. right? Like I'm a jokester, I'm a big jokester, and I'm big on cracking on people. I try not to crack on people that I think stuff that I think that would like hurt them. My rule is always you can't joke on me unless it's funny. Right. And
Right.
so that's the rule I hold with everybody else. I'm not going to joke on you unless it's like you're going to laugh at this. Right. But that doesn't mean that I can't say things that hurt other people
Right.
unexpectedly. Right. So they could just kind of like halfway give me the cold shoulder and I could be like, I could get it. Right. I could be like, oh, that's not something I should joke about. But I could also be like, oh, it was a rough day today. Like, I don't know. But I think it's important to not misrepresent yourself when it comes to people setting boundaries. Right, which is something I had to learn to do, was to stop saying that's okay.
Oh my God, that hit for me. Yes. Yes.
Because that's my automatic thing when someone like hurts me or something. I'm like, that's okay. It's not that bad. It's not, and I had to stop saying that because it's not okay. But I'm giving them, like Addie said, through my actions, I'm letting them know that I'm accommodating, right?
Right.
Like I don't bring it up. I'm just like, oh, I brush it off. But I also, I think like Eric said, if it's something that's a little bit more nuanced, I do have, I don't want to say the duty, but I was going to say the onus is on me to be able to say certain things about that. Right. So like my thing is, I realize this about myself. I don't have low self-esteem. I have pretty high self-esteem. I'm just sensitive. And when other people don't think I'm great, I'm like, what?
God, see?
Why
Right.
would you don't think I'm great? What did
No.
I do wrong? Right. um, and it's up to me to tell people that I'm sensitive about certain things in that thing, right? Like, it's one thing to be like, I'm just, how about this? In my actions, in order to keep, like, be sensitive about it, I just don't let people see my art
Mm.
sometimes. Or I'll just put it out where it's, like, nebulous and it's not, like, a one-to-one share where they, like, have to tell me something they didn't like about it. I'll just be like, it's out
Oh
there.
God, I'm in
Go
that
see
all
it
the
if you
time.
want. um,
But hey, can you send me your poem so I can like? And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll get to it. I'll
sure.
see. Uh, say something, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know if I want to hear it.
Right. And is that not the fear, right? The fear of like, I'm not going to be good enough or someone's not going to like me and all this kind of stuff. And I think it's, so that's why I think it's two-tiered. Yeah, there should be this physical kind of boundary. There's certain things that people should know when they step to you that are not cool. I
Right.
think there are general boundaries that you should have that by your actions are just like, you're not going, and maybe this is just very New York of me, you're not going to talk to me no type of way. You're not going to come in
So
my face. You're not
not
going.
coming out.
You're
Right.
right. I'm telling you, don't. We not gonna act stupid up in here with me, right? But like at the same time, there are more nuanced things about myself, right? Like
Right.
I feel like I'm so outgoing that people don't get that I have abandonment issues.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm so cool and I feel like I'm so gregarious and I'm so like, oh, I love you, and I put my arms around you, that people don't really see that I'm just like, and don't leave. And
Right.
don't leave. And so in that way, it's up to me, I think, to like be more vocal and be like, hey, like, I know you probably, not even I know you didn't mean anything. When X happened, this is how I felt about it.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you intended, that was what I felt. And I just want to talk to you about it because I don't want to be mad at you for something. I call it, you can't play games with people, not tell them the rules, and then get mad when they cheat or lose.
Right. Exactly.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm just like, so now you're in trouble, but you don't know what you're in trouble for, and you don't know
Right.
how not
What
to do it
is
again.
right. Right.
Um, so yeah, I say that was a really, really, really long way for me to say you're both right.
Yeah. And Eric even like went on to say that if you don't like once you communicate, because like I was trying to read what everybody was saying while also active listening. Um.
You're such
um
a multitasker. I'm so proud of you.
that's why I still have a job and all in the midst of all of this crazy. Quit yet, and it's really this is how I know that I'm growing as a person because Portia like 3 years ago would be like broke, just like no job, would have quit back when the pandemic started and be like, oh fuck it. But when we were trying to do all the things at once. Um, yeah, Addie said you can be vocal and still not get it. And Eric said, yeah, but then once you're vocal and they don't understand, that's on them. And like that kind of speaks back to like the mastery of love, where
Mm,
each person is working on their own part. So like if you do communicate your boundaries to somebody and they still just are like, I'm gonna do what I want. Like that's then it takes it, like you said, to that next step where the relationship is the boundary, and now just our whole dynamic has to be rewritten because you are not respecting what I've clearly like laid out to you, what I've like specified. Like now
yeah,
there's no mystery. Like I've told you specifically what my boundaries are and you still won't respect them, then I have to do what I need to do so that I can reinforce boundaries for myself. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's what just hit me while I was listening to is the idea that the boundaries that I think are reinforced by your actions are your inner ones, like the ones that are just like things about you, right? Like there's a certain amount of peace you want in your life. Like I think for me, people know like not to bring certain like mess to me or something like that. I feel like there's certain things about me, but I feel like the things that help me navigate specific relationships are maybe the things that I need to speak up about more, right? So I saw Addie said, some parents are like, you're not going to be running in and out the house.
Right.
You're not going to be sneaking out. You're not going to be out after a certain time. Because, these people, my mama don't play. I just know my mama don't play. I don't even have to ask, right? But those are things that are kind of like set. But if you're mitigating something like my mother made fun of the fact that I have low grades, and I don't like it. Or if we're going to keep it in the same direction, I said something slick about like my mother's outfit and it really hurt her feelings, right? Even though we're like joking, that's something to mitigate because that's a specific relationship.
Right.
Right. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe there's no way to that, things can be true one moment and not true another. So
Yeah. And I mean, I think Addie was also saying that like like a lot of communication is nonverbal, which is absolutely true. And like there are times where I have unknowingly expressed boundaries like physically, and people still were just like, like I don't like I'm just gonna do what I want anyway.
yeah.
So it is both because like there are times where like you can very clearly be physically communicating your boundaries to somebody and they will just completely disregard them, like just because that's what that person is going to regard. Like Addie said, if someone won't respect your actions, they're definitely not going to respect your words. Like they're going to do what they want to do regardless because they can't even respect that love that you're trying to like
Yeah.
establish in that relationship with that other person.
Maybe it comes down to the idea of, because I think for me, it's the idea I want to give people chances
Yeah.
to be able to rectify their behavior. I'm always like, well, maybe I wasn't clear enough, or maybe I was too specific or something like that. So I think that's why I don't know. I think it's a conversation to keep having, and it's one that I think will adjust within yourself, right? Because like I know Addie personally, right? And Addie has a strong personality from the moment you meet her, right? So you can tell from certain things. Yeah, there's certain things I definitely know with Addie are not gonna fly, right? There are things I had to learn with Addie can fly or don't fly because I had to get to know her, right? And that was also in her behavior, right? But there's also certain things that I had to like that we talked about, right? Talked about like the certain ways we talk to each other, and is that okay, and is that like something else, because that's something else specific, right? But I know for the most part with her, I know what to do and what not to do with her. Somebody else, I might have to meet that out.
Right.
I might have to really do sit down and be like, hey, I noticed you were acting a certain way. I just want to make sure this is okay. Or for them to be like, hey, I know you're like, we're cool and everything, but I can't have that. So I think that's just something that's going to have to be navigated like situation by situation, person by person, because we're all individual. And that's, I guess maybe that's a good way to wrap this up, because I feel like that's the point of what we're doing here, right? Is that it's not about me or Portia or anybody else having like the final word on what's supposed to be right for anybody, right? Like we don't know everything. we're relatively, I mean, compared to the universe, we're all young, but like we're
I just asked
still
myself the other day. I was like, universally, I'm like a teenager still. Like, I still live.
I'm barely an adult, right? But the point I think was to have those kind of conversations. You know, what does it look like to have a boundary that's verbal versus one that's done by your actions? You know, what does it look like for me if I'm in a codependent relationship? You know, because I know you were talking about like enabling bad behavior, and you know, talking about your partner being alcoholic. But for me, it was just enabling the fact that we're not being our full selves with each other, or
Right.
that we're limiting what the other can be. So there's always all of these different ways to understand what it is that we're going through. And I really just want to make sure that this space is where we're all kind of like, think of this as our like group project Google Doc, right? Like we're all just coming in here and putting in the information.
Yeah.
Right. It's like we all have a paper, but we're all going to put our resources in the same place so
Right.
that we can all write our own papers the way we want to without plagiarizing.
You're so good at metaphors. I love them.
It's my dad's a preacher. I can't help it.
So of course, like, of course, you inherited it all.
Oh man. Apple tree. But no, this was great. I am so excited that we were able to do this. This was 2,000 times more fun than anything I could have imagined. It lasted 47 minutes longer than I ever thought it was gonna last.
I was like, I got to have a time limit expectations on the self.
Right. I was like, it's gonna be like 45 minutes tops. We're gonna run out of stuff to talk about. We're gonna be staring at each other.
And I can go on for hours together, and
Right.
we're gonna go on forever. Like,
give it up for day 32. Just still here, telethon, doing this. But thank you so much. I don't know if you know, a lot of this is thanks to you, Portia. The fact that I've like even decided to put this together, the fact that you were open to doing the first episode and all this kind of stuff. Thank you for being a friend.
Thank you. I think it's gonna be really awesome, and I think it's well, in my brain, it's already bigger than it is. So, like,
no pressure.
I can, and I'll come back anytime you want me to.
Come back all the times. All right, y'all. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Right, it's the Portia show. It's my show. It's like the Eric Andre takeover. It's Hannibal's show now.
Oh my God, a week like that. Okay, anyway, we'll talk about this.
Okay, and once again, thank you to everybody who showed up. Thank you, Addie and Eric, for that awesome discussion in the comments. For everybody who showed up. In the words of my family, especially my father, I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. All right, guys? Y'all have a good night. Stay blessed. Stay hydrated. Enjoy your weekend. Do something crazy. And remember to love yourself, okay?